All right, everybody. There's 7 minutes, 30 seconds left, and I'm going to just go ahead and make the video now because I've seen what I've needed to see. And you guys know when I'm making the post-game video early, that's not a good sign. I don't make it when we're winning and it's early. I don't make it when it's close and there's still time left. If there's any question about the end result, I'm not making my video yet, but I've seen enough. I've seen enough from this one. I got it on over here in the background, but I'm not really paying much attention because there's really nothing that's going to happen in these last 7.5 minutes that's going to change much. And let me just say, Seahawks, if you're going to show up like that for a home game, can you let us know ahead of time? So that way fans know not to go to the game. And I know a lot of fans didn't go to the game, but none of them really should have if that's what you're going to do. Just a thought. This post-game video is powered by BetUS. And to lead us off here, I'm not going to be killing the offense too much today. Because I get how this goes. And I know that this offense doesn't really work without DK Metcalf. Because he's the one guy who stretches the field. He's the one guy who makes defenses scared. That he'll get behind them and make a big play. And without DK out there, I understand. The defense gets to crowd up closer to the line of scrimmage, and they don't have fear of getting beat over the top because the Seahawks just don't have anybody with real wheels at receiver. Lockett and JSN are both probably like 4'6" guys right now, and Bobo's like 4'8" probably. So you saw a lot of plays today where nobody was really getting open. You saw a lot of plays where safeties could come up closer to the line and not be afraid. So you saw, and hopefully the people who didn't get it before this game get it now. This offense does not work without DK Metcalf. So I expected better than 10 points, but I'm not shocked that the offense didn't play well in that circumstance. And honestly, like the one good drive we had in that first half, the field goal drive, I think Ryan Grubb was actually putting in some real work getting us what we did. He had to dial things up to account for the fact that we don't have any downfield threats in this offense right now. So that part, I'm going to be a little understanding of. There are definitely some things that need to be called out there. But this defense, that makes me wonder. The way this defense played today, that makes me wonder a little bit. Because they're running out of excuses for why things don't really look better than they looked last year. And in several games this year, it really hasn't. So, Seahawks lose. They're right now 31-10. Maybe they get another touchdown here. Maybe they don't. It doesn't matter. Like I said, you can't put anything that happens right here into like real football terms. And like I said, the offense, I get it. Okay, I get it in a way that some Seahawks fans didn't get. Maybe they get it after today. Maybe today is going to be the game that makes Seahawks fans realize, wait a minute, we really, really need DK Metcalf because the defense just got to play us completely differently without him. It was pulling teeth to get first downs in this game because what is the defense afraid of? They're not afraid of Tyler Lockett catching the ball. Even if he catches the ball, he's not a yak guy. He's just going to go right down. He's not going to reliably beat you over the top. He's not that kind of player anymore. So I'm not shocked that the offense failed to produce. Maybe to the extent of only 10 points and clawing and scratching to get over 200 yards. Okay, that's maybe a little more extreme than I would have wanted, but I get the general sense, right? So we do, however, everything I just said aside, we need to talk about this interior offensive line that is not getting better. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at BetUS, best sportsbook and casino on the internet. You can head on over there right now. You've got a little bit of time before this Cowboys-Niners game. Big game, Sunday Night Football. Throw down some wagers on it. We need the Niners to lose because clearly we are not going to be able to do this on our own. We're going to need the rest of the division to be as bad as we are. And if you go there right now and use promo code YouTube150, you can get a 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. And 125% deposit bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. So check out BetUS. Go get your free money. Go get to some gambling. We got a good game tonight. Got a good game tomorrow night. Get to it. All right. So, like I said, the interior offensive line. So back to them for a second. Let's unpack the interior of that offensive line where Connor Williams, who I praised last week because I thought he was improving, plays. It's hard to imagine anyone playing a worse game, right? How can you be worse than single-handedly costing your team 11 points as a center? That's something that maybe happens once every decade. Second and goal at the 2. Things are looking pretty good. The offense put together a really good drive. And he's sending the ball not just a foot over Geno Smith's head. He's sending it like 4 feet over Geno Smith's head. Okay? And then at the goal line, 4th and 1, he steps on Geno's foot and trips him, ruins the play. So that was the difference between us being competitive and not being competitive in this game, ultimately. Like, we probably still lose even if we get those points on those 2 plays or 2 sequences. But Connor Williams, I mean, that's going to put you back in the hole, and I'm not calling for you to be benched or anything like that. But what I will say is that after last week, there were a lot of Seahawks fans talking about, oh, we need to talk about extending Connor Williams because of look at how good he played. I don't know if we're going to see that conversation this week. Geno Smith finally gets sacked, by the way, first time he gets sacked in this game. So we're still wrestling with 250 yards. We're probably not even going to get there at this point. But, yeah, I mean, the entire interior offensive line, Bradford, Tomlinson, absolute garbage. No ability to run the ball whatsoever, and we know it's not on Walker because we've seen him run the ball effectively before. It's not like Ken Walker suddenly turned into Zeke Elliott and he simply can't get it done as a running back anymore. No, they're not blocking for him in the slightest. No blocking whatsoever, and that part's not okay. This Buffalo front is not some run-stuffing juggernaut. They're good, but they're also missing some of their key guys up front. In this game, you wouldn't have known it. So, the interior of the offensive line, in terms of on-the-field stuff, would be the one part of this offense that I got a bag on, because it just doesn't matter who they play. It doesn't matter what they do. We can't get any kind of a running game going. And at this point, I don't know what you do about it, because you played teams that are pretty soft up front, and you still can't run the ball on them. So I'm at the point now where it's just like, look, I'm not believing this is going to get better anymore. You gotta put some of these guys on the bench. You got to get Christian Haynes out there. I know Haynes had a holding penalty in this game, but you got to get him in there for the whole game. Just let him get involved in the flow. You got to try Lomia at some point. Like, the fact that we couldn't run the ball on the Niners or Bills with the injuries that they had in those games, I kind of feel like it's just GG at that point. Like, there's nothing left to say. There's nothing left to unpack. Tomlinson's probably going to get worse, if anything, because he's an older guy, and it's just extremely unlikely that he's going to get better as he gets more worn down. So I'm at the point where I'm a big continuity fan on the offensive line, but you got to make some kind of an adjustment in there, because at this point, it seems like our ability to run the ball has nothing to do with us. It all has to do with what the other team does, and is Ken Walker feeling like Superman on that day. Now, the one part of this offense, beyond just the interior of the offensive line, that I do want to spend a little bit of time on here is Geno Smith, who, on the field, I don't think played too badly, but he lost his cool today, and that's something that doesn't need to be happening. Like, when a guy like a DK Metcalf loses his cool, or a Devin Witherspoon loses his cool, I don't like it, but I'm willing to live with it a little bit more, because I understand what those guys are doing when they're a little out of control. That's not what we saw from Geno Smith today. He got frustrated, and I understand every bit of that frustration. I do. I understand Connor Williams hosing you out of probably 11 points by himself. I understand the interior offensive line sucks. Chenault had a really bad drop. There were some penalties procedural formation penalties on the offense, just crap after crap after crap after crap. I totally understand the frustration, but you can't let it get to you like that. I mean, the good news is nothing happened until the game was already over. We weren't going to win this game regardless, but I need him to not lose his cool. He's my quarterback. He's supposed to be a leader. And while I have zero issue with him getting frustrated, he can't, I don't want to say articulate because he didn't necessarily say anything, but he can't express it in that way. I'm sorry. You can't allow yourself to express it that way as the quarterback. So that is the other thing that I would hound on a little bit for this game. That was not a good look, right? I just talked about Connor Williams possibly costing himself some money this offseason with how poorly he played, at least with this team. Geno Smith, I don't necessarily think his play is costing him money. I think he's playing fine, but something like what I saw today, yeah, that'll cost you some money. That's something they'll come back to at the end of the year. Not because it cost you the game, but because you got to be bigger than that. You got to be able to hold it together through those moments. Other than that, I feel like, for the most part, they did what they could. Again, to me, the interior offensive line is the one part of this team that really allowed for this to become such a disappointing game. But, I mean, JSN was pretty decent. The tight ends made some nice plays. They didn't have the ball a lot in the first half, so there wasn't a big opportunity for them to do stuff. I mean, you just look at these numbers and you're like, okay, I mean, I get it. It's not great. I'm not thrilled, but I can understand everything except for that interior offensive line junk. But this defense, they are really running out of reasons to excuse being this bad. This did not look radically different than a Pete Carroll defense. This did not look radically different than a Seahawks defense from last year. And this comes after you made a big trade. You made a significant trade. You bring Ernest Jones IV in here. And I'm going to give it some time to work, but he did not look good today, to my eye. And he did not look better than Jerome Baker, appreciably. And he didn't make anything better either. ND Williams fumbles the punt, so, hey, good thing that just came out of this game from garbage time. I said nothing that happened for the rest of this game would matter. Maybe that'll get D. Williams off the team. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something good did happen in garbage time here. We'll see. But silver linings, people. We're looking for silver linings. Maybe that's the end of the D. Williams era in Seattle. But yeah, this defense, you add a new linebacker purposely to fix the run defense. And Buffalo's not some great rushing team. They're pretty good. They're all right. They don't win games with their rushing attack being dominant, and they were today. Over 5 yards a carry, 156 yards. They might get a few more here, actually, at the end of the game here. They might run it up to like 180 in garbage time. We'll see. But they're completely punking you right now. They are completely punking you on the ground. It's like nothing changed. And this is where I think it's fair to start to at least call out McDonald. I'm not saying we got to worry about McDonald. I'm not saying we have to start making some grand conclusions about McDonald. But I think we can say, hey, why is your run defense so bad? The last guy got fired in part because he couldn't stop the run. The team failed to stop the run in the last 2 seasons that he was here. And there might be something fundamentally wrong with the way he coaches defense that causes the run defense to be this sloppy. And you can only overcome it with elite linebacker play, which we simply don't have. Maybe we have decent linebacker play. It depends on who you ask, but it's certainly not elite. Maybe he needs to change the way he's doing things up front with the way he has his... I might have to make another video about this later this week, but the way in which he deploys his defensive linemen, that might be fundamentally breaking this run defense. That's the part where I wonder if Mike's going to be able to make the adjustment here. And if he doesn't, that's obviously a poor reflection of him as a coach, and it will eventually make people wonder. Right? So that's the coaching stuff, but there is plenty of player stuff to take away from this game too. Woolen, that was atrocious. Woolen, I mean, how is it that, and you know, Witherspoon too, honestly, Witherspoon didn't play particularly great either here, and how is it, and I know he got picked on a lot in this game, I know, and I know he gave up a lot of stuff, and he didn't play well overall, but how is it that Josh Joby is the guy who finally gets the interception on Josh Allen? How is it that Josh Joby's the guy who makes that play, while Woolen and Witherspoon are both out there looking sorry as? I don't know what's going on with Witherspoon, but just not making any plays on the ball this season, not tackling well at all. I know there have been some good games, but we are looking at some stuff here that is just concerning and does indicate pretty strongly a big-time sophomore slump. And sophomore slumps happen. They're a part of what we have to deal with as a fan base, but this is definitely going to, it's going to be like Woolen last year, where Woolen had a down year in 2024 or 2023, and then that whole offseason we were wondering which way is he going to go. For most of the season he went in the positive way, but we're going to be in that same position next year with Witherspoon, just wondering which way are you going to go. And when I say Woolen went the right way, I'm not talking about today, because that was awful. That was awful. I saw low effort. I saw poor execution. He picked up a penalty, gave up 2 touchdowns in this game. That is the kind of stuff. I made a video about it in the offseason. People got mad at me. They didn't want to believe me. I said, there's a lot riding on what Woolen does this year. And if we don't like what we see, and McDonald doesn't like what he sees, that's a guy who could be traded or let go before 2025. And a game like that is not going to help that argument in the slightest. So, that's bad. Ernest Jones, like I said, I don't think he played well. I'm not necessarily going to say he did anything wrong, but I am going to say for at least one game, nothing looked better. You make that trade, you give up that 4th round pick to bring in Ernest Jones, because presumably he's going to make things better. He didn't. Pass rush, mostly non-existent, right? We had 1 sack on a play where I think Josh Allen ran out of bounds. It doesn't even count as a real sack. It's a fake sack. So, no pressure. Tackling, maybe not the worst game tackling we've had this year, but certainly didn't feel like it was good. I don't blame the team for not blitzing Allen a lot. Allen's a veteran quarterback. You blitz him too much, he's going to make you pay. But the fact that they spent so much of this game basically just getting whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, for so much of this, it's just ugly. So what do we do now, right? What do we do now? All we can do is try to regroup for next week. Understand that this is an AFC loss. We lost to an AFC team. Understand that it's much more important that we win next week against the Rams than win this week. I think we all understand how that stuff works, but going back to what I said at the top, or going back to, the title of this video, nobody's going to take you guys seriously again the rest of the year, pretty much no matter what you do. This is like the Ravens game last year. It didn't matter what happened after that game. You could have gone on a 5-game win streak. People would have said, yeah, but what'd you do against Baltimore? That's kind of what this game was. So, I know that doesn't matter. I know the only thing that matters is winning or losing. It doesn't matter if they take you seriously, but there is not a single sane Seahawks fan that is going to consider this team even a pseudo-contender until they're actually in the NFC title game or in the Super Bowl or whatever. That's what this game does. You now know that you are nowhere near the top of the league. You are not even the same class as a team like the Buffalo Bills. And maybe there was an opportunity. Maybe there was an opportunity to at least make that argument early on if Connor Williams doesn't act like the biggest idiot on the planet. And I like the Josh Allen fumble, which, that's just something where the football gods hate you on that particular play, and they're not going to let you have any fun. I mean, Josh Allen fumbles the ball, kicks it forward to his own player to convert on 3rd down, which in some circumstances wouldn't even be legal, but of course in that one it happens to be. And it's just like, okay. But you did it to yourself too. You got Derek Hall taking a late hit on Josh Allen. That's not bad luck. That's just stupidity. And I guess stupidity is better than just being bad, but it's still going to lead to the same result, ultimately, right? You've got... what else? Josh Joby? He's going to get a penalty on Coleman, and he decides to shove back, so it's canceling out penalties. Like, there was some stupidity in there as well. This isn't just a matter of 100%, well, it's just bad luck. Not at all. So, I don't really know what else to say with this one, guys. Dixon was good, right? Michael Dixon was good, but the statement was made, and the statement made was this is a pretty average team. This is a team that may make the playoffs, may not make the playoffs. And it's going to have a lot to do with just kind of the randomness of this league right now. But, yeah, it's not good. And we got to start asking questions about, I'd say the defense. To me, the defense is the side of the ball that has no reason to be this bad today. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks, stream later. But who's going to want to talk about this one?